thrilled to have you here. If you really think about it, the human body is basically a bustling, incredibly complex metropolis. And just like any thriving city out there, it relies on a massive, nonstop infrastructure network to keep everything running smoothly. We're talking about a brilliant, round-the-clock system of roads, highways, and pumping stations dedicated entirely to delivery and waste removal. Today, we're exploring the circulatory system, your body's ultimate transit network. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive right into this. What is the core mission here? Well, every single cell in your body, and remember, there are literally trillions of them, needs constant provisioning. They absolutely must have oxygen and food nutrients delivered to them just to survive. But on the flip side, those cells also generate waste, like carbon dioxide, that needs to be hauled away immediately. The heart, the blood, and the blood vessels all work together to service every single one of those cells. This life-sustaining balance of dropping off the good stuff and picking up the trash is the fundamental purpose of the circulatory system. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll cover the ultimate delivery network, then we'll meet the double pump, look at the 3 vital blood highways, and finally, wrap things up with traffic jams and problems. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the ultimate delivery network, meeting the fleet. Now, before we look at the physical roads and pumps, we really need to meet the fleet making these deliveries every single second of the day, the blood itself. You can kind of think of it as having 4 distinct departments, all functioning together. First up, you've got your red blood cells. These are basically your dedicated cargo trucks carrying vital oxygen to every corner of your body. Then you have the white blood cells, which act as the security patrol, making up a crucial part of your immune system. Next are the platelets. They're your emergency maintenance crew, absolutely needed for clotting if there's ever a leak or a cut. And finally, plasma. Plasma is the liquid river itself. It's the fluid medium where all these cells, along with the food, nutrients, and the picked up wastes, actually float and travel. Moving right along to Section 2, meet the double pump, the central station. Obviously, our transit fleet needs a relentless engine to keep it all moving. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the heart isn't just a single organ squeezing randomly. It's actually a highly efficient double pump made up of 4 chambers. It sits safely nestled in your chest, just in front of the lungs and slightly to the left. The right side of this central station handles the waste management. Its upper chamber takes in the deoxygenated blood, that's the blood loaded up with carbon dioxide from the body, squeezes it down into the lower chamber, and then pumps it straight to the lungs to exhale that waste and pick up fresh oxygen. Meanwhile, the left side acts as the outbound delivery pump. It takes that newly oxygenated blood returning from the lungs into its upper chamber, drops it into the lower chamber, and forcefully pumps it out into a massive artery called the aorta to start its journey around the body all over again. And thanks to specialized heart valves keeping everything flowing in just one direction, this continuous double pumping action creates the very sound we all recognize as our heartbeat. Which brings us to Section 3, 3 vital blood highways. Navigating the routes. Let's see how this builds. Now that the central station has pumped the blood, it needs physical roads to travel on, and the structure of these vessels depends entirely on the specific job they do. Let's trace a drop of blood leaving the heart. First, it travels through the arteries. Because the blood is being pushed with incredible force straight from the heart, these arteries have to be extremely muscular and strong. They start large, like the aorta we just mentioned, and then divide continuously, branching out like tree limbs until they become very slender. Next, the network steps down into the capillaries, which are the absolute smallest vessels in the body. After the cellular exchange happens there, the blood moves into the 3rd highway type, the veins. Veins are the return routes bringing the now deoxygenated blood back to the heart, and because the initial pumping force has dropped significantly by the time blood actually reaches the veins, they rely on built-in one-way valves to stop the blood from just running backwards. I actually want to pause on the capillaries for just a second because this is where the magic really happens. Capillaries are so microscopic that those red blood cells, the cargo trucks we talked about earlier, can literally only move through them single file, one at a time. This extreme microscopic precision is completely necessary. It is right here, across the impossibly thin walls of the capillaries, that the actual cellular handoff occurs. The oxygen and food nutrients pass directly out to the waiting cells, and the carbon dioxide wastes are transferred directly back into the blood to be hauled away. Now, here is a fascinating biological exception to the rule you just learned. Generally, as we know, arteries carry fresh, oxygenated blood away from the heart, and veins carry deoxygenated, waste-filled blood back to it, right? Well, look at this exception. When we look at the specific routes connecting the heart and the lungs, the pulmonary routes, the terminology completely flips. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the right side of the heart to the lungs, and the pulmonary vein is the only vein returning fresh oxygenated blood back to the left side of the heart. It's just a brilliant little quirk of our anatomy. So, with all this fluid cargo being continuously forced through muscular arteries, tiny capillaries, and valved veins, a physical force is naturally generated against the walls of this massive network. That force is what we call blood pressure. It's simply the measurable amount of pressure existing inside the circulatory system as that double pump does its daily job. That leads into our final part, Section 4, Traffic Jams and Problems, System Malfunctions. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when things go wrong. Just like any city's physical infrastructure, if these roads undergo too much strain or poor maintenance, things break down. High blood pressure, sometimes caused by things like obesity, can put immense strain on the system. And biological health issues map perfectly to infrastructure failures. An aneurysm is quite literally a structural weak spot bulging in the wall of an artery. Atherosclerosis? That's a traffic jam caused by clogged pipes, specifically the narrowing of arteries due to plaque deposits building up on the inside. If those narrowed arteries happen to be the ones supplying the heart muscle itself, that lack of blood supply results in heart disease. And remember those crucial one-way valves in your veins? If those valves fail and allow blood to run backwards, pooling up in the vessels, you get varicose veins. It really is an incredible mechanical transit system that relies on every single part functioning perfectly. So, I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap up today's explainer. Every single second, while you're sleeping, working, or learning right now, your central station is relentlessly pumping away, pushing cargo through microscopic tunnels and clearing away hazardous waste. As your personal double pump beats right now in your chest, how well are you maintaining your body's ultimate delivery network? It is doing incredible work for you, day in and day out, so make sure you're doing the work to protect it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and